So I'm going to start working in the nape. Now notice that her hair is a little bit damp, and the reason it's damp is because I took her to the shampoo bowl. I did a clarifying shampoo first, a little bit of conditioner, and now I bring her back and I start applying the lightener on her wet hair. I learned this from my pal, Hair Like a Boss, so if you want to check him out on Instagram. After I saw him do it this way in person, I haven't done it differently than this since, because I just feel like the way that the lightener goes on the wet hair is so much easier to apply. You get much better saturation. You don't get those holidays, and honestly, I feel like all my clients that I've done this on end up with healthier hair at the end. I don't know if that has anything to do with the wet hair, but just that saturation, I love working with it this way. Now the key things here, you're gonna notice I'm using saran wrap. I like using saran wrap because I feel like it just incubates the hair, but you can also see the hair lifting through it. So it's so much easier for me than foils. So I work that from a little bit, about ½ inch off the scalp, all the way through the ends, and I heavily saturate the hair. Now, this is another thing. You're going to use a lot of lightener when you do this process, but you really want to soak the hair in lightener, and then you can see I fold that saran wrap up, keeps it nice and tight. Keeping the lightener off the scalp, I try to do that as much as possible. The scalp will lighten faster using the heat from the scalp as well. So I'm not worried about that not lifting. It also has no previous color on it, so I don't have to worry about that either. So I do the same process on the opposite side, going ½ inch off the scalp, working my way through about ½ inch sections. You should be able to see through the section when you paint that lightener on, so that you want to make sure you have no missed spots or inconsistencies in your lightening process. So we're going to work our way through up the head the same way all the way across. You'll notice I just do up to the occipital bone at that point. I like to section off the back into two. I don't need to work all the way up, and I really separate those because I'm working with different panels, and I think the more you break up your sections, the easier it is to control it. So then I work the rest of the way from the occipital bone up to the crown of the head. So now I'm going to start working at the temple area. Nothing's really going to change here. Still ½ inch off of the scalp. Biggest difference is I want to protect your ear, so I'm going to slide a piece of saran wrap underneath after I paint the section. So I paint that lightener on first, work it through with my hands, then I put the saran wrap up underneath, just like that. Now I'll continue working up the head to get both sides to match exactly the same. right, so now I've got everything from an inch off the scalp down to the ends completely saturated. You can see the lift happening. Now I slide that the saran wrap off and I start painting the base. Now this won't have to be on too long, and you can see the ends are already lifting really nice, really consistent throughout. So I just go through, take those small still half-inch sections throughout the head and paint the lightener on the scalp, still using 20 volume as I work through. The other good thing about separating these sections into half-inch sections and working through is that if there are any spots that are a little inconsistent throughout, you can change those, you can paint on those, add a little extra lightener to them as you work through. Now you can see the lift that we got, and I'm going to play off of those yellow tones in our hair, but we're going to use the 9 VG, so it's a violet gold. Really excited. I'm going to add a little bit of clear because I want to cut that 9 a little bit, go a little more level 10, and then also 10 volume because I'm not looking to lift the hair at all, just deposit. So the 9 VG, the violet is going to help tone out a little bit of that really gold tone, but then also we're going to keep a little bit of the gold as well to keep the brightness in the hair. So a lot of times we'll just put violet in and we'll mute everything, but you want to have a little bit of that golden tone to keep the brightness in the color, and you'll see that in the end result. So thing I loved about this color, obviously, was my first time using it. It's a brand new hair color they just sent me. I loved the violet tone that came through real quick, so felt like I had a lot of control on that yellow, but then at the end what you'll see is that it really just keeps that brightness, and it's a beautiful natural looking blonde. So I paint this through all the way in. I go pretty much scalp to mid shaft first, then I paint the ends right after it, just really getting that heavy saturation throughout. So no big rhyme or reason, just 4 quadrants, get the color on as fast as you can, and then I let that process for the entire 25-30 minutes. You can see that violet tone pulling through. So here's our end result. You can see it's a nice neutral blonde, but natural. So that's one of my favorite things about this whole thing. I wanted to show it to you a little bit straight so you can get that feel for it. And then we're gonna wave it up a little bit with the Paul Mitchell wand so you can see that. But see those natural golden tones coming through? It doesn't look muted. It looks bright. It looks natural. So just loving this tone. Glad that they came out with a VG series. So hope you guys like it as well. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'd love to answer those for you. Thank you so much for watching.